Sawdust, what do you know about beams?
She knows we're getting ready to timber frame something, Jay. Now you got all of your beams that you've cut on your sawmill ready to go for your next project. What do I do next? We're gonna actually show you how we set up for one of our big timber frame projects. We're gonna show you how we actually pick the beam for the best position in there, how we cut it, how we size it, and actually how we locate where it's going to be in that job. So stick around, we'll show you. So the first thing that we're actually doing when we're cutting our logs from trees is we're actually cutting our timbers to actually be the maximum amount that that log can deliver for us. We're not actually cutting our beams to the actual size we need right now. We want to actually put these out here, let them dry some, and then we'll actually come back and size these perfectly. So as you can see, I mean, guys, this is a 13 by 13 beam. I'm sure I can make quite a bit of stuff out of that. So if you actually see, we go over to the sawmill after we get our logs that have been dried for a little bit, not very long, maybe a month or two, I think they've been out there. We actually come, bring it back on the sawmill, and then actually look which piece in my timber frame can this be, or how big a beam. I always start by cutting my beams as big as humanly possible, because if I need a 10 by 14 and we have plenty of those, do you think I can make an 8 by 12 out of it or anything? So we always start with a big beam, and we might continuously cut this down until we make it to the last little joist right here. But when you do, bring your beams back up on the sawmill. You'll see Jason and I took a slice off this yesterday. So you saw all that wood up there that was dry. You can actually see up here this wood, not cracked, it's good. This is at the point that it's ready for doing your joinery. So I'm actually reading each beam as they come in, and we've tried to center our heart in everything that we do. But then you actually need to examine the beam. What's happened while it's drying? Is this beam good? Now we rifle through so much wood, we just cut the beams as big as we can, dry them, and this is how we bring them back. But if you're actually looking at this beam, I see, and just from this side, I'm seeing this cracks right in here. There's a possibility when this tree got taken down that it had some stress cracks. This is definitely the butt end that I can tell. But don't just look there to make your decision. Walk around the beam. See what's really going on here. Now this beam is actually, look at the crack right here. Not good. This is actually what happened when the tree went down. A lot of times I actually cut the first 4 or 5 feet of my butt end off and use the rest. But this beam is actually not very long for us. It was one of our fattest beams over there. And Jason and I had already guaranteed that that was going to be one of our biggest beams. But after looking at this, I mean, the crack has gone all the way through. So right now, this beam for the timber frame and where it's located in the heart is really not good for a giant beam. So at this point, I don't exactly know what I'm going to use this for. But as we're trimming off our beams, we're actually pulling material all the time. I say you see a little bit there. We pull a lot of material. This is prime material, guys. So nothing that we do goes to waste. These are actually, you could make kitchen cabinets out of this stuff, molding, anything you want. I have so much. I don't buy plywood, guys. I use 3/4 inch oak on my roofs. It's free. It's a cutoff. By the time my timber frame's done, my stacks will be dry. We'll T&G them. That's going to become our inside roof. We're going to have oak roofing in a barn. In a barn, Jay.
That's pretty extreme.
It is extreme.
I thought this beam was perfect too. This was a heartbreaker.
This is a heartbreaker. I had to stop working yesterday. We would cut into it. I said, Jay, this is not going to be good. So if this beam, honestly, guys, where this crack is located, for me, I got 8 inches. The problem with making it a beam, the 8 inches drives right to the center of the heart. So this is not going to be good for a beam. If we don't just turn it into our 3/4 inch oak plywood, more than likely, because of the measurement that I have here, we use knee braces that are 4 inches thick. We need prime material without the heart. I will cut by 4 inches and I will get a massive amount of perfect prime knee braces, which are the stability of a timber frame, really. That's what holds the whole thing together and square and tight. So this will not go to waste. It just might not go into the building where I originally thought. So thank God I always cut 2 or 3 extra beams, because you never know what's going to happen. And you pick the best ones and then move down, cut them down, cut them down. Use all your material. Okay, guys, like I said, we're actually sizing the biggest beams first, because they can always be cut down. That's really the way to save your beams. And these are the actual 4 biggest beams that I need in this timber frame shed. And actually the one on the table I thought was going to be my 5th, because I always cut more than we need. I'd rather cut it down or cut it to my 3/4 inch plywood. But I want to make sure that I have a beam here. And honestly, Jay and I later today are probably going to mill another tree and get it ready. So I have a backup beam for this. But these are the biggest things that come. And you can see after it's been dried, this wood is really, I don't want to say this is dry. This is still green timbers that you're going to be working with. But look how beautiful these beams come out. Beautiful. This is right off the sawmill, okay? There's nothing to do with this. We cut everything with a carbide blade. Our beams are perfectly flat. We're monitoring it as we're actually cutting it to make sure that they are flat. Well, we will spend a little time on that mill and make sure it is. And that's a fact. So, I mean, these are 22-foot long beams, guys. We can actually turn them into anything we need. At the end of the project, I needed 12-footer and I got one of these left over. Trust me, he gets cut down. The remainder of them goes in the plywood stack. So as we're actually cutting through our timbers that we've actually had ready and drying for a little bit, these are the timbers that are actually not going to be in the first portion of our build. These are actually going to either become rafters or floor joists on the first thing. This is actually where we set up, because we're starting this project. We have cut nothing yet other than the wood. So we've actually laid out, this is all the beams for the main frame, including the 4 other beams I showed you back over there. And we're actually going through one. As they're coming off the mill, honestly, Jay's cutting, I'm running up here, examining it, and actually tagging which ones, which placement I want to put this. So I know for my top plates, I need 6 pieces. So I try to go through my piles as I'm going along. But 9 times out of 10, we're gonna have a whole bunch more of the 8x12s than we are gonna have, than we're actually gonna need, because I cut them big. So now as they're coming off the mill, I'm looking for the most, let's say perfect. It's wood. So you really, every piece is unique to itself. Now I know this beam is long and I've got plenty of room to chop 2 feet off both sides. Pick where I want to put that beam, which pieces actually will come off. This stuff I cut off in 2-foot pieces, not gonna go to waste. No, I'm not gonna turn it into 2-foot pieces of my, special oak plywood, but they can become timber frame pegs. And that's what happened. We use thousands of pegs, so I never throw anything away unless it gets to maybe a 1/2 inch. But 3/4 and above is somewhere here on this property. So guys, you can't just, like I said, you're trying to cut the biggest material. As your biggest material, pick your best ones. Maybe the next one is really close and you had a hard time deciding, cut it down. Next ones we're gonna need are 8x10s. Okay, and down and down and down the line. So every one of these is sized. I've already actually labeled where these need to go. So in my mind, I'm knowing exactly off my plan what's happening. I can relocate certain beams on my trailer so that I don't have to move them 10 times to get to them, and maybe coordinate how we're actually going to build this building. But guys, it's I don't want to say it's simple, but you actually have to read your wood, make sure your saws are running perfect, and pick out your beams and pick out your best ones and cut them big. You're always going to need more than you think, I promise you. I still have those emergency trees if we got to run in there, Jay, but we got a pretty healthy stack of backup wood I thought would take to do the whole barn, but we're in good shape, pal.
I like it.
So you're cutting your own wood for your own project off your own land. I mean, guys, look behind me. Let's talk about sustainability real quick. I'm like, we just actually milled everything we need for this giant timber frame barn 100 yards down here. Does it look like I need any more trees? No, we don't mow them down. We went in and individually picked the trees that we want. This is your property. There's no reason just to mow stuff down. We were looking for certain trees. That's what we cut. And that's what turns into these beautiful, beautiful beams that we know that Jason always designs for me that have to be 20 feet long, all right? I don't get 10 feet long beams. I almost had to throw those away or turn them into plywood. So guys, cut your wood, cut more than you need, cut them big, cut them straight, have some fun and build some stuff. I hope this helped.